Well, hello and welcome once again to the DCL podcast, where we're inviting you to sit back, relax, and we'll be on our way shortly. Well, hello everyone. It's day 3. Is it day 3? Day 2. Day 3.
Day 3.
On our Disney Wonder cruise out of San Diego, and Anawik's here with me. How you doing today, Anawik?
Good morning.
Yeah, I'm glad you're still with me.
Yeah, I did not fall overboard.
Although your phone just almost fell overboard.
I did almost throw my phone overboard.
Yeah, leaving Cabanas this morning. So we're sitting out at the adult Coco. We thought we'd have a little bit of a talk and throw this up on the podcast feed for everybody. Just kind of some thoughts about what we've been doing on this cruise. So what's it been like to be back on the Disney Wonder?
It's really nice to be back. It's great to see the familiar faces in the crew that we've met over the years. There's been 3 different people that we recognize, which is always super cool. This is just such a nice, we kind of have decided this is a little bit of a hidden gem. It's just a nice, quick getaway for us. It's nice that it's the West Coast, so we don't have to fly clear across the country to get on the ship. But it's the weather's nice. Ensenada has been lovely.
Kind of a little hidden gem.
Yeah, for sure.
And the best part about it, as far as 3 days go, is that you get to go to Ensenada on the first day, and then we get a nice sea day, and then we get to get off tomorrow. So right. I love having a sea day rather than that castaway feel where you're busy
rushing all
day, rush back, pack, and get some food, and then head out. So
it's a nice relaxing day.
Right. So I guess, what are your thoughts of the Wonder being back on her?
It's really nice. It's been interesting. So our last couple have been on the larger ships, so kind of forget how much bigger the larger ships are until you get on this one. It's strange right now because it's only about 40, just under maybe half capacity. So at times it feels really quiet and empty, but then that's also kind of nice.
Yeah.
In some ways.
But I think it hasn't felt like empty as I think Ryan, whose episode will be out, where they only had 400 people.
It's definitely not.
There's definitely people about.
There are definitely people out and about. And last night for the fireworks, we went up to watch them, and as we were walking back, realized that that probably was pretty much the entire ship up there watching the fireworks, and it felt more like a normal type crowd, and probably also because we're not with our kids on this one, so we're hanging out in the adult spaces, and so it gets to be one of those where you think, where are all the kids? And so last night, as we were leaving the fireworks, we saw them all.
Yeah, there were tons of kids up on deck, especially bigger kids too.
Bigger kids.
Yeah, our kids are getting to be, so we hadn't really noticed too many of them around up until that point.
Oh wow, that's where our children would be, with that crowd right there.
Yeah. So, but the Wonder's just in immaculate shape. That you could tell that they've really done a lot to all the teak wood has been polished to sheer shine, and she just looks
beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful. It's all good. One of our favorite cast members here is working on the deck right now as we speak. So right. We saw him on the Fantasy actually,
right.
And that's been really kind of a neat thing too. Like you already talked about, Anna, was just seeing some of the cast members that we've seen on the different ships and different sailings, and talking with them again and seeing their smiling faces. Well, right. Everybody's got their masks on.
Well, but you can tell they're smiling.
You can tell that they're smiling as well. I guess, what else can we talk about? Let's talk a little bit about Ensenada. I think that's a kind of a hidden gem in the sense that last time we did a kayak trip, and this time we went on a wine tour, and it turns out that the region around Ensenada is kind of a breadbasket, sort of, in some ways.
Definitely.
They do a lot of salads and growths like that, but also it's their main wine region in Mexico.
We went to the winery yesterday that produces 70% of the wine sold in Mexico,
which is amazing
when you start thinking about it. It was quite good.
Yeah, you ended up going to 2 different wineries, and the first winery was really good. The second one was a little hit or miss, and that's okay. But the setting that it was
was
super
gorgeous,
fun.
and they had somebody playing music, and they had food truck, kind of a sort of food trucky type situation. There was tacos and pizza, and they also did beer tasting, and it was just a really cool, beautiful location.
Yes.
And then when we got back on the bus, our tour guide told us that all So the first winery was called El Seto, and then the second one, I can't remember exactly what it was called, but it was Doña Lupe, something Doña Lupe. And he told us that the rumor or the gossip around Ensenada is that, so most of the land where we were is owned by the El Seto winery, but there's one little pocket in the middle that is Doña Lupe. And he told us that the rumor is that one winery had been around for 100 years and then the other one for 70, and that the rumor was that 70 years ago Mr. Seto and Doña Lupe may have had an affair. And in order to keep it just as a rumor, Doña Lupe got some land and started her own winery, which is, whether true or not, kind of a funny story.
And the funny thing is, she's 98 and still alive.
And she's mum's the word.
She's not talking. She's not talking about whether that affair was real or not. So, but yeah,
we'll never know.
Just a fun little excursion. So
right.
I think it was an honest.
Great tour guide.
Yeah, great tour guide.
There you go.
They do a good job keeping you in a kind of a bubble.
In a bubble, yes,
yeah,
for sure.
So there was 2 groups on the winery, so it's 2 different buses, and our group stayed together the whole time. As we've kind of talked about, as Brian Call talked about in his show, when they went snorkeling, is you're kind of in a bubble together and you stay together and you all come back to the ship together. And then if you want to get off again, then you can do that on your own.
And I will say one of the lovely things about being on the ship now with far fewer people is that there were, 20 of us on our wine tour, and there were people on the tour that we recognized from the pool the day prior. And then since then, like, we've kind of continued our bubble. Like, we were all hanging out at the pool after the tour, and then we saw each other at the fireworks, and it's been kind of cool to sort of keep the group together.
Matter of fact, as we're sitting here now, I see 3 of them.
3 of them come right.
Yeah, with their mom in tow, who's 85, and said she was just a character. She said, she's going to die at home or get out here and die on the road. Yep. She'd rather get out and die on the road.
She said maybe it wasn't safe to be an 80-year-old woman on a cruise, but what was she going to do? rather go have fun.
Yeah. So, anyways, it's been really enjoyable. Seeing the cast members, meeting some of the people on board. Brian and Sam from the DCL Duo are on board. We met them the first night and did some trivia with them down at O'Gill's.
Held our own. Crown and Finch.
Crown and Finn, yeah. 80s trivia.
80s trivia.
Yeah, we didn't do too bad. We
did not do too bad.
But I think we got 30 and the winner was like 35 or something like that.
Yeah, 36 I think.
36, all right.
But but we were definitely in the running.
Yeah, so
we were not at the bottom. We were not in the bottom tier.
No, so I think we're gonna give our hand at there's Disney Tunes trivia, which there's no way I'm gonna win that.
No, we won't win that.
We won't win that one. And there's Ultimate Disney Trivia, which I want to go to that one because I just want to see what the questions are.
I would never know.
But there is, I think there's a 90s pop culture one tonight, so I think we're gonna hopefully meet up with them again, and we'll do that one as well. Yeah. So
we love our trivia.
We do. We haven't done the shows, so Frozen's been on board, and everybody that we've talked to that's seen Frozen said it's just spectacular. We've seen it. We saw it last time we were on the Wonder.
We did.
Or did we see it on the Fantasy?
I can't remember, but I know we've seen it.
I think we may have seen it on the Fantasy, but that's the only show that they're doing. So on Halloween night, they actually had, which was yesterday. Actually, I'm not sure if this is the bad part about not having kids, but it's also the good part, is we're kind of doing our own thing. It's remember the first time we got on a cruise and you walk by the pool and it's we're on our way to dinner and we're trying to get our kids ready and herding the cats. And
there were people just kind of sitting there having a slice of pizza, and we were like, what are those people doing? And now, this is a Halloween on the High Seas cruise, and I think that they aren't doing some of the things that they would normally do because of COVID, but the pumpkin trees in the lobby and the pumpkin decals around the windows, and because we don't have our children with us, we have absolutely no idea what's going on.
We have no idea. Maybe tonight is Halloween, maybe it's not.
Today there are people with Halloween shirts on today, and so we think it might be today, but we're not quite sure. And last night, I do know that they showed The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Right, and you get to meet Jack and Sally beforehand, which is a kind of a neat meet and greet, because I know that's really hard to do at Disneyland and Disney World.
Right, so... But we're not sure where that happened or when that happened.
Well, no, they had it at the Walt Disney Theater, so
that was
that was why they only had. Yeah, that's why they only had the two. They have frozen tonight. They had frozen yesterday, or the first night.
The first night, yeah.
And so that's why they don't have another show, I guess, on board because they're doing that. So, wow, we went to Palo last night. How was that?
We did. I do love my Palo experience.
What did you think of the Price Fix versus? It's a little bit different now.
We did one of each. I did the Price Fix menu, and Steve did the a la carte. And I guess this was our first experience since that change, and I don't know if they do, but I think it would be nice if they mixed up the choices so that it wasn't always those same two choices on the Price Fix menu, but I think it is always the same.
Yeah,
too.
there's I think there was 3 or 4 main entrees. So what is that? Not dulce, but the secondie or something like that.
Well, yeah, the entree, yeah.
Yeah, so with the Price Fix, you get to pick 4 different things. So
one from each category.
One from each. You get to pick 4 different food options as you kind of go along. So you have a salad, you have an appetizer, a salad, a main entree, and then a dessert.
Yes.
But there's some on the main entrees. There's some favorites that are not on there. So like the scallops are not on there. There's a bigger steak. There's the rack of lamb,
Dover sole.
Ossobuco
was on the a la carte menu.
Right. So on the main entry, you get salmon, you get a 6-ounce steak, and chicken. Yeah. So it would be nice if they maybe they move the scallops over there the next time we were.
Right, like if they mixed it up, you know.
That would be kind of a nice thing. Otherwise, it's a la carte. And so I did the a la carte, and I got basically a main entree. I got a little bit bigger steak and some asparagus, and it was roughly the same thing. I just didn't get a salad, and I didn't get a dessert. So
I just share my souffle.
Chocolate souffle.
And our server said that I said she kind of questioned whether I really actually wanted to do that or if I wanted to just keep it all for myself. And I said, well, I love him. And she said, love and souffle are 2 different things. In other words, I don't agree with your choice.
Yeah. And I'll have to say that she's from France, so she probably knows a lot about love. So
right.
The French are well versed in love, right? So I'm glad you're sticking with me and sharing your souffle. How's that?
My souffle. Yeah.
Anyways, I guess you can tell we're just having a good time. The Adult Cove area up front has been really nice. Easy to find chairs.
Yes.
The pool, actually, I think I like the pool here better than on the Dream and the Fantasy because it's a little bit bigger in the adult area. The one side maybe down, like you can't swim up and sit at the bar.
Yeah.
But I really like this space. It's a little bit bigger. It's a little bit more wider and open than the Dream and the Fantasy.
That's
space.
true. Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how it translates in the Wish and that on the back end area where they're going to add that space there. What else haven't we talked about, I guess? I'm
headed to the spa today.
Yeah, excited about that?
I am very excited about that. It was one of my favorite stops.
Yeah, it's perfect on the seating. And we'll have to say this too, and just as Christy has said and other people have said as well, like we couldn't get, I think we had a 5:30, because we booked this cruise last minute.
Right, so I think I have just a massage scheduled, and what we could book from home was a 5:45 appointment, which was fine, but
5:45 p.m. On this last sea day.
And which would have been fine, and it would have given me time to shower and whatever before dinner. But as soon as we got on the ship, I came up and checked in at the desk, and was able to move my appointment to 10:30 this morning, which is just a much better time to not have to ever rush during the day.
Yeah, so don't. Make sure that if you can't book whatever it is that you do ahead of time, because I think that they do have reduced slots that you can get on the web. Well, we know that they do have reduced slots. Just stop in there. Matter of fact, they even offered you to take you back there right then, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. They said, you
should have went for 2.
You can go right now. And I was like, oh, well, I'm not prepared to go right now. I'll have to come back on Sunday.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Let's talk about the app really quick, because I thought this was really slick. Like other people have been talking, you can reach out to guest services rather than going down and standing in a line. So we're waiting for our tour to leave yesterday. We were at the Walt Disney Theater, and we decided today at 11, because you changed your spot at 10:30. We originally had like a wine tasting, and after the wine tasting yesterday, and we didn't need another wine tasting this afternoon, and so I couldn't cancel it necessarily right on the app, but I just reached out to guest services, texted them, and they took care of it. So like instead of having to
It's very
wait
nice.
in line
Yeah.
somewhere, take time out of your day, you can still be sitting by the pool, watching your kids go down the slide, and taking care of adding things on or
taking
taking care
things
of
off
any
or making
problems.
changes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
making
definitely.
changes without having to actually go and stand in line and do it there. So that's a really slick option with the app that I
Right.
think has been nice. And the chat function has worked really well. And I love being able to just scroll through and see what's going on today.
And I will say this is which maybe other people have talked about, but the with the COVID protocol, I guess, with everything is touchless, and so
love that.
it is actually very nice. And when we've like sitting at the pool and buying drinks, or even in the store or whatever, we or at the Cove, we got coffee this morning, where you just give them your room number and then punch it in. And we asked our server by the pool yesterday, well, how do we tip you? Because that used to be what you could add in on the paper receipts, and it just comes up in your
App.
your cruise folio on the app, and you can click on the transaction and add a tip in that way. So it's really nice, and some of the features that they've added because of the virus have been are going to be just good in general moving forward. Oh, speaking of that, one of my favorite things as somebody who drinks a ton of water is that they have added up by the Wide World of Sports court and down on deck 4 where the running walking path is, there are water bottle fill stations, which is totally awesome that you don't have to go up and do the Asceta Cabanas drink machine, which you can't do the drink machine now yourself anyway, but that there are spaces around that you can fill up a water bottle, which I totally appreciate.
Yeah, that has been really a good option there too. I can't remember, that may have been on last time.
I have never seen anything like that before.
Okay, it all starts to run together.
Yeah.
It's been 2 years since we've been.
Right. I
crazy.
have pretty much always had to fill my water bottle at the little soda fountain station.
Right.
Because at Aulani, they always have out by the pool like a little, container with water that you can fill up glasses and water bottles and stuff. And so I had been wishing that there would be something like that on the ships, and now my wish has been granted.
There we go. little pixie dust on this trip right here. So, well, I guess we'll kind of finish it up here in just a second. But I think that this has become a cruise that we're going to do probably every year.
We've enjoyed it. Yeah.
We love this little 3-day get down to San Diego. If you can add a day, which we didn't do this time, but if we could add a day ahead of time to spend a day in San Diego and then 3 days on the ship, get a little bit of our Disney cruise fix on the West Coast here. I think it's just a great little trip. And if you could do the 4-day down to Cabo or the 7-day, even more power to you. But this little 3-day definitely works for us. We'll definitely be booking it again. So
It's a nice little weekend.
yeah, and especially I love the wonder and the magic.
Right,
It's just,
me too.
There's just such because they're a little bit smaller. It's easy to get around. It doesn't feel as crowded generally on most of the places, and it's just a great little trip. So I wanted to end it with this story because I thought this was really cool, talking about cast members. So, and I didn't really recognize her at first, but our stateroom host came down the hall, very outgoing and very, big personality, and she greets us, and we're talking to her and everything like that. And we kind of went our way the first day, and then we came back out, and I was standing in the balcony, and she was cleaning the room next door. So I look around, and I'm looking at her, and I'm like thinking back in my head that our second cruise when we were in Norway, as we walked off the ship, we had an amazing stateroom attendant there, but she, Janice, was actually next door to us, or doing the staterooms near us, and we would talk to her every time, and our kids would say hi to her, and she was always really outgoing. But I didn't recognize
Personable with
her.
them. Yeah.
I didn't recognize her. We didn't put it together until I started thinking about it, that as we walked out, we walked by the Walt Disney Suite, and she was in there cleaning it, and the door was open, and our youngest son, if you want to go from there.
I poked his head in, and said hi to him, and then we chatted a little bit, and then she took him in and gave him a little tour, showed him around the suite, which he thought was like the most amazing thing in the whole world. So Steve has a conversation with her and realizes that it's her who did that and is our stateroom host. And she says, that was my very first cruise, and I remember taking a small boy into the suite.
Yeah.
Whereas we said, well, he isn't really that small anymore. But it was one of his favorite cruise memories. So
Yeah.
it's kind of cool to reconnect.
And I think that what brought me to think about that is she kept saying that she really loves the Magic. That's her ship. And
Right.
she can't wait to get back on board the Magic. So we definitely seen that a lot of the cast members are from different ships right now.
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of shift right now, and they're not on the spot where they are most comfortable. They're on the spot where they're needed.
Right.
So,
But I just kind of want to end it with that because I thought it was a fun little story. But I think as Anna and I were sitting at breakfast this morning, that's one of the huge reasons why we come back to Disney Cruise Line.
Absolutely.
It's just like it's a small little community of people that you kind of get to see over and over again, from the cast members to, running into Brian and Sam on this trip. We've seen other listeners on different trips as well, and being able to spend some time and talk to them. And I think it's a very positive community.
I do too.
I love the positive nature and outlook of the community. Is everything perfect right now? No, but I tell you what, I think both of us were a little misty-eyed as we got on board, and we've enjoyed every bit of it. So
it's nice. It's a step towards getting back to normal.
right. So, well, I guess as we get out of here, I hope you enjoyed this little conversation. We'll do probably a longer talk with Christy and Chris about this cruise as well. Touch on maybe some other things.
More info.
A little bit more info as we think about it, and as whatever we're going to do tonight. You're going to the spa.
I'm going to the spa.
And I'm going to go run around deck 4 and see if I can catch Brian Call and do a 5K with him. So.
Right. I'm going to do that later. It's not too hot.
Yeah, not that he's on the ship, but I got to keep up with him.
Right.
So, all right. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Thank you so much for all you do to support our show. And from Monowik and I, we just wish you all the best and hope that you're out here cruising soon because it's amazing.
It's good to be back.
All right. Cheers, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.
The DCL podcast is not affiliated with the Disney Cruise Line, Walt Disney Company, Adventures by Disney, or Run Disney. All of the opinions expressed on our shows are those of the hosts and the guests who appear on the show. If you have any questions about any of these products, please contact the Walt Disney Company.